What's up, gamers? This is Papa Jump Left here. Today we're kind of doing somewhat of a market watch, but it's not really like, oh, let's see what types of prices we can get if we want to flip our cards. We're not flipping cards today. We're just gonna be going over the current prices for some staples in Wotc 20, and I think it's valuable for newer players who are looking to get into the format. Some people seem to think, because there's a lot of hype and, a lot of YouTube channels that go over prices of cards, and they often list prices as though every single card that they come across is a PSA 10, which is far from the truth. So we're going to just go over the prices of a lot of these staples for WotC 20 and hopefully get some of you guys out there coming up with your own ideas, maybe copying someone else's deck, putting your own flavor on it. But yeah, let's get right into it. So we obviously skipped the intro. This is where you would end up at. So we're looking at Clefas. These are staples in WotC 20. Every deck is running, well, most decks are running 4 copies. There's certain strategies that don't always need 4, but you're just looking at the price difference. So like here's the Neo Genesis Cleffa. Market price is around $12.33. But obviously the Celebrations Classic Collection is perfectly fine. It's an exact replica, except it has the little Pikachu head right there. A lot cheaper, and you're going to have a lot more accessibility with this one. Next, we're going to look at, this is just like the main staple. Every deck wants this. Now we're going to go over trainers, then I'll go over some special energies, and then I'll go over some Pokemon that are commonly used that people might want to look into. So the next one is Professor Oak. Not these imposter Professor Oaks, but like looking at the prices of these Professor Oaks for like base set 2, we're looking at cents. And then if you like the foiling, the trading card game Classic also has Professor Oak. Does say in the top corner that it is a supporter. It, for the purposes of WotC 20, it is not a supporter. It's just it's just a regular trainer. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. So that's around the price range for Professor Oak. We're looking at cents. The next card is Item Finder, one of the best cards in the format, having a limit to the amount of trainers that you can have in your deck, being 20, makes it really powerful to be able to reuse one of those trainers through the use of Item Finder. So, base set 2, and then there's even the Shadowless one. I think the Shadowless one is a little bit up there, but this isn't too bad, and you can find some that are pretty reasonable. Like this is obviously for a damaged one. We're not gonna look at that, but moderately played is not far off from the damaged price. Then we get to the 4s and 5s. Let's see if we look at mod play only. So yeah, so $4, $4.50 to $5. If we're looking at lightly played, not that much more. So yeah, Item Finder is a great card. A lot of players will run 1 to 2 of these. I haven't really seen anyone play 3 copies of this card. Computer Search, another one, goes hand in hand with Item Finder. So while it's powerful for Item Finder to be able to allow you to use the trainer card that you previously used again, having access to Computer Search to pull out whatever you need from your deck in any given situation, also very strong. And the Classic Collection ones seem to be the cheapest on the market. They're 44 cents market price, 48 cents, 44 cents. Base set and base set 2, not too bad either. We're looking at $3, $4. And for mod play it's like $1.50. I don't really see a reason why not to just go for a Classic Collection one. You get the hollow background. It has the same exact text on it, and it's an item, so it reads just like any other WotC 20 trainer card that is a non-supporter. So moving on, we're looking at Gust of Wind. There's a lot of decks that do want to use 2 of these. I've seen decks go up to 4 of these, and just it's a really good card, and also very inexpensive. There's tons and tons of these floating around in people's collections. Next is energy removal. Super energy removal is not legal, so these are just here because I couldn't figure out a way to filter them out. But energy removal, decks run anywhere from 1 to 4 of these. Most commonly, I've seen 2 copies of these in decks just to slow down your opponent's tempo. But yeah, cents on not expensive at all. Pokemon Fan Club. This is one of the ones where there are plenty of copies. There are a lot of copies that are a lot cheaper than others, with the exception of this Pop Series 4. However, when you're playing these, there's 2 different sets of wordings, and we want to make sure we're going for the Aquapolis wording. The Aquapolis wording says you can only play 1 supporter, blah, blah, blah. So search your deck for up to 2 baby Pokemon and or basic Pokemon cards and put them onto your bench. That's the keyword there, and you shuffle your deck afterwards. Other iterations of this card actually say search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. The reason why we have to adhere to the Aquapolis wording, other than playing in the accurate sets that are legal within Wotc 20, just something to be aware of, because your opponents or you don't want to be able to turn a Pokemon Fan Club into a free computer search by tutoring for 2 basic Pokemon that you're just going to throw away and spend on a computer search. So we're definitely using the Aquapolis wording here, and it's not really that expensive either. When you're looking at, let's go near mint and lightly played, like $3, not that bad. Even mod play, if we were gonna do that, there's like 75 cents. Not too bad in terms of pricing. And a lot of decks run 1 to 2 of these just to boost consistency. Town Volunteers is next. Aquapolis. Most decks I've seen run 1 copy of this, and it's just to bring Pokemon and energy cards back from your discard pile into your deck. So pricing isn't too bad. I think if we go mod play, mod plays are still like around $1. If we're looking at lightly played, still around $1 to $2. So it's not too rough on the wallet, especially if you only want to run 1 for your deck. Next is Pokemon Trader. Decks are running 1 to 2 copies of these, just so you can boost your consistency even more. A lot of proactive trainers going on here. So we've got base set 2, legendary collection. Even the shadowless one, if you get one of the cheaper ones, it's not too bad, but I mean, it's not that big of a flex. It's just you're gonna put it in your discard pile immediately, so relax. And then just one to 2 of those. Friend Ball is not necessarily a staple so much as it is just like decks that are heavier on colorless Pokemon might want to use it, just because of how many people are playing Clefas in their deck. So you're able to search your deck, or so you choose one of your opponent's Pokemon, search your deck for a baby Pokemon, basic Pokemon, or evolution card of the same type. So if your opponent always has a Cleffa in play and Cleffa is colorless, you can search your Wigglytuffs, your Chanseys, your Furrets, all kinds of great colorless Pokemon with this card. And noteworthy is, so the Skyridge one, being from Skyridge, is going to be more expensive. We're looking at 8 to 10 and beyond. The good news is the Sun and Moon Celestial Storm version of the card has the exact same effect and the exact same artwork, and it's significantly cheaper, like near mints for 20 cents. So mod play for 12 cents, like just get the near mint at that point. But anyway, good card for people who want to play colorless heavy decks. Next is the Boss's Way. I think I have a short segment of cards that are ideal for people who are playing dark Pokemon. Not the type, but like dark in the name. So the boss's way is just a free search your deck for a Pokemon with dark in its name, and then shuffle your deck. Very inexpensive. I mean, this is heavily played, but we're looking at lightly played, 20 more cents. So you search your deck for an evolution card with dark in its name because there are no basic Pokemon with dark in its name. But you search it, show it to your opponent, shuffle your deck afterward. Just really good for dark strategies because they need all the help they can get with the low HP and high energy requirements that they have. But next in line is Rocket's Hideout. This is a big help for dark decks as well. These two do not have the same effect, so we're going to go over that because you might as well get the Neo Revelation one because it's not that much more expensive and you'll have the accurate wording on it. But if this is what you got, then this is what you got, but you do need to be aware of the wording. So we'll look at the Neo Revelation one first. In lightly played, 64 cents from TCG Direct. There's plenty of these that are a reasonable cost. But it's a stadium. Each Pokemon in play with dark in its name, even your opponent's, gets plus 20 HP, which is a pretty big swing for Pokemon that have dark in their name. Difference between this Rocket's Hideout and this Rocket's Hideout is this one includes Pokemon with dark or rockets in its name. That is not how we're playing Wotc 20 because Rocket Zapdos does not need all the help that it can get. Rocket Zapdos is extremely powerful without an additional effect like this. So we're playing with this wording, just Pokemon with dark in its name, and you might as well just get this card. The artwork, in my opinion, looks better anyway. Moving on, another stadium is Energy Stadium. A lot of people do like to play this card. It benefits both you and your opponent, but not so much your opponent. Like maybe you're on a lot more basic energy than your opponent is. Maybe your opponent is running a lot of double colorless energy, boost energy, metal energy, other special energy. Energy Stadium is just once during each player's turn. That player may flip a coin, and if heads, they return a basic energy card from their discard pile to their hand. This is kind of an inflated price for that. If we're looking for, moderately played, 80 cents, way better than Near Mint First Edition. So, not bad for like Rain Dance style strategy. There's some electric decks that may or may not want this. Maybe some fire decks want this. Go ahead and experiment with it. Sometimes you're just playing it to take your opponent's stadium off the table. Next is Healing Field. This is for like the slower, tanky decks that want to heal incremental damage over time, but they have high damage output themselves. So think of like a Metal Chansey style deck or a Steelix style deck. Like there's a good amount of decks that want this effect, and it's not too expensive either. Like Near Mint First Edition is $1.50, but down here, we're looking at these are all here's Near Mint Unlimited for 50 cents, the same price as a heavily played Unlimited. Like just mind the condition while you're adding these to your cart. But it's just like another coin flip effect. If heads, player removes 2 damage counters from their active Pokemon. So that can add up, and a lot of players will, swap their active Pokemon. If they have a lot of Pokemon with no retreat cost, you can swap to, a Pokemon with damage on it, try and heal it, and then swap back to the other Pokemon. Or you can, say you're playing damage swap Alakazam, you can put 2 damage counters from a benched Pokemon onto your active Pokemon, try to heal it off. If you fail, you can just take the 2 damage counters and put them back onto your benched Pokemon with damage swap. Next is Eco Gym. So if you're playing a lot of special energy cards, you might want this card. Special energy that does not provide colorless. Because we're looking at, whenever an attack, Pokemon Power, or Trainer card discards another player's non-colorless energy card from a Pokemon, return that energy to its owner's hand. This helps a lot of metal decks. More than just metal, but it's just like metal and rainbow are like premium energy cards. but you can return basic energy back to your hand with this as well. Uh, it's not bad. It's better than not having a stadium. I don't know. Use it. Try and form your own opinion. Prices are not too bad. I mean, there's a lot of these heavily played, but then we get into mod play and it's $1.20. The low end is kind of all over the place. You're not really going to find consistent pricing on the low end for these cards. Next is No Removal Gym, and this is one that I think is kind of a better replacement for Eco Gym. And it's kind of like, it's speculative. Not that I'm like specking on the price to go up or anything, but this is just like, hand hate is very good in Pokemon. And if your opponent is playing energy hate and they have to discard 2 cards from their hand in order to play an energy removal, because super energy removal is banned, but if they have to spend 2 cards to use energy removal, that doesn't feel great, and I think it feels worse than most players imagine it to. But cards are not too expensive. Like when you're looking at lightly played 470, lightly played 575, you might only want 1 or 2 of these anyway. You might only want 1 because it's like it's good. It's just, try it out, see how you feel. If you're running a lot of special energies, DCE, this at least makes it cost 2 cards and protects your double colorless energy. Think about it. Next is Desert Shaman. So this is not to show you how inexpensive Wotc 20 is. This is a bit of a premium card because it is a Skyridge card. These are harder to come by, but it is a hand hate card. It is a supporter. This is great for a turn after your opponent uses Eek with Cleffa. If you're on the low end and your opponent is at 7, then you could draw up to 4, and your opponent has to shuffle their hand back in and draw only 4. So they would lose 3 cards from their hand at that point. This is about where I've seen the price before, but as you can see down here, there's some lightly played for around 15. Notably more expensive than Thoughtseize from Magic the Gathering. But it's kind of like what we have for hand hate in Pokemon. So just something to consider. If you really like your deck and if you're really playing like a slow control strategy, maybe you want to throw in 1 or 2 Desert Shaman later down the line. Then going into here, so like this is kind of a similar effect, and it's more budget friendly. So Imposter Oak's Revenge is just discard a card from your hand. In order to play this card, your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. So you're forcing them to still go down to 4 cards. It's costing you a card in your hand. It's not a supporter, so that's good. But the pricing is a lot better. So you've got mod plays at like 30 cents, light plays at 30 cents. So significantly easier to obtain this card than it is to obtain a card from Skyridge. This is another hand hate card. A lot of people don't like this card because it's based on a coin flip. I do, but I'm built different, I guess. But anyway, this is the Rocket's Trap. It is only available in hollow foil. If we're gonna look at, let's say, mod plays, mod plays are 8 to 12s. I don't like those prices. Lightly played. Yeah, I mean, there's some lightly played around $11, so just mind the condition if you're going to go for this. But flip a coin. If heads, choose 3 cards at random from your opponent's hand. You don't get to see them, but then they shuffle them back into their deck. So it's pretty good. If you have a Desert Shaman and you're able to follow it up with this, it is insane. It doesn't happen a lot, but it can sometimes just that can just be enough hand hate to knock someone out of the game. Going to more hand hate. So Rocket Sneak Attack. This is specifically for trainers. There's a hollow rare and a non-hollow rare. If we're looking for budget friendly, we're going to look at hollow rare. So if you want to play hand hate strategy, you probably want to run some number of Rocket Sneak Attack and you've got mod plays around $2. You know, not too expensive for someone, you know, who would be trying to get into a hand hate strategy. But you just look at your opponent's hand. If they have any trainer cards, you choose one and they shuffle it back into their deck. Why is this good versus forcing it to discard? You know, it just plays around item finder, so your opponent can't just item finder whatever you tossed away back to their hand. But that's it for, you know, noteworthy trainers that I figured I would bring up in this video. We're moving on to the energy cards, starting with Warp Energy. Warp Energy is played 2 to 3 to 4, depending on the strategy that you're playing. Like if you're heavy and colorless, you could definitely afford to play 4 of these. If you have a lot of heavy Pokemon like Steelix or Tyranitar, stuff that has really high retreat costs, you probably want to play more of these, or you want to play some type of Espeon engine in your deck. So they call it warp bouncing. So you could take Espeon, put the warp energy back from your Pokemon to your hand so that you can reattach it to a different Pokemon on a different turn. Just, you know, look into the format. You'll see what I'm talking about. But anyway, we play these warp energies. They all do the same thing. Noteworthy is that the market price for the secret rare is lower than the market price for the Aquapolis rare. But these, you know, they're all fine. You're just attaching it to an active, and then you retreat it so that you can cure it from a special condition. You know, prevent it from getting knocked out, whatever the need may be. This is the cheapest one by far, the Shining Legends one, and there are tons of these because people could not stop opening that product. So I recommend newer players go for the Shining Legends one. Super easy to pick up. Next is Double Colorless Energy. Colorless decks, there's a lot of attacks as well that are just 2 colorless and then 1 of a basic energy type. So that makes these pretty good to pick up for just general use. There's a lot of inexpensive ones. There's like this one that almost looks like a textless promo, but it's got the text on the bottom there. And then one thing that I thought I would point out is that the Classic Collection ones, if you like hollow, they're not that bad for pricing. You could pick up, you know, 10, 20 of these. These are great. And they look really nice when you actually have them in front of you. So, yeah, highly recommend looking into Double Colorless Energy. Next is Metal Energy. Metal is very popular in WotC 20. The energy is very powerful for recoil damage style decks like with Rocket Zapdos or with Chansey, because it prevents the outgoing damage and it also prevents the incoming damage. So it's a double prevention for recoil. Just you know, look into it, and then you know, it's very good. The Neo Genesis one being the best looking one in my opinion, but the market price is kind of up there. What you want to be aware of for WotC 20 is that we're playing it with the Aquapolis wording. So damage done to the Pokemon Metal Energy is attached to is reduced by 10. And then if the Pokemon Metal Energy is attached to isn't metal, whenever it damages a Pokemon, including itself, reduce that damage by 10 before applying weakness and resistance. And it provides Metal Energy. So these, they're not too expensive. Like if I brought up, let's do mod play, light play, near mint. So yeah, we're looking at $4, $5 each. It's just, you know, pretty good. You can definitely go for any of those other Metal Energies. Just need to be aware that we're playing with that wording specifically from Aquapolis. You know, if you wanted to go classic and look for a swirly foil, then you'd be looking at, let's see if we go lightly played on these. Yeah, like 10s. So, you know, pretty good. I think the wording is similar, if not the same, but just be aware of the Aquapolis wording. Next is Rainbow Energy. So Rainbow Energies, as far as I know, all have the same effect. Yeah, they still only put one damage counter on the Pokemon, so um, wide price ranges for these rainbow energies. The things that you're going to want to watch out for, though, is like we're not using Delta, double rainbow energy, any of these crazy future energies, but like we're just core rainbow energy. There's plenty of inexpensive ones, especially from Sun and Moon base set. Noteworthy if you want foil, the Team Rocket Hollow Rare has a market price of $29.02, but the Wotc Leak promo is only $6 and looks just as good. So keep that in mind. This one looks really cool too, just because of the e-card border. They're not too expensive either. Like if I went for lightly played here, they're like 10s. Okay, at your discretion. And then next is Recycle Energy. Colorless decks like to use this. Other decks kind of use it sparingly. It's not for every deck, but if you're heavy on colorless, it bounces itself back to your hand if it's put into your discard pile from play. So unless someone has Pokemon Tower out, but it's decent. The least expensive one is this Unified Minds Sun and Moon one. Does the exact same thing, so you don't need to memorize any kind of wording in order to play it. Next is Darkness Energy. Not seeing a whole lot of play, and it's also a lot less expensive than Metal Energy. But again, we're going with the Aquapolis wording, just something to be aware of. If the Pokemon Darkness Energy attached to damages the defending Pokemon, the attack does 10 more damage to the defending Pokemon. Does not need to be a dark Pokemon in order to have that effect. However, at the end of every turn, you put one damage counter on the Pokemon Darkness Energy is attached to, unless it has Darkness or Dark in its name. So this is another one that can boost Dark Evolution Pokemon. But any other Pokemon will be effectively poisoned. It's not poisoned, but like it acts just like it is. And yeah, no, decent card. Boost Energy for the heavy colorless decks, and I've seen this used in base set Charizard deck as well, because it's energy burn, turns it all into fire. But Boost Energy is not too expensive. It's like a light Dragonite style card. Can only be attached to a evolved Pokemon, and we've ruled that if Ditto is copying an evolved Pokemon, then Ditto is also considered evolved as long as it's copying that evolved Pokemon. But noteworthy is that the Pokemon Boost Energy is attached, you can't retreat, so it comes with that stipulation. And also at the end of your turn, when the Pokemon Boost Energy is attached to is no longer an evolved Pokemon, then you discard Boost Energy. So just stuff to keep in mind. The pricings are not too bad. Like this one, being from the Aquapolis set, is a little bit more expensive, but if we're going to take a look at, say, Deoxys, then these are much lower, and same effect. So moving on. We're on to Pokemon now. So Blastoise, just a really important Pokemon for Rain Dance, right? Rain Dance is kind of like everyone wants to start WotC 20, and they love Rain Dance because it's what they played in the Game Boy Color game. It's the most nostalgic deck out of all the WotC 20 decks, and it's a lot more affordable than you would think. Just like a lot of people default to like looking at, base set Blastoise, can get really high up there, 123, 34 for the market price. In Trading Card Game Classic, 22 for the market price. But this Classic Collection Blastoise, if you can stomach the confetti foiling, which really doesn't look that bad, but here's a whole play set for $6 each. it's really, really good price for a Blastoise. Next is Articuno. It's another Rain Dance staple. So if we're looking for inexpensive, we would go with the fossil non-hollow. And as you can see in here, even lightly played, we're looking at 4s, 5s. So super obtainable card. Rocket Zapdos is a big one for looking at the classic collection or celebrations versus gym challenge. So like celebrations being, cents, near mints 60 cents versus the gym challenge version, which immediately you see lightly played 43.50. These are the exact same card. It's just this one has confetti foil. Just go for the confetti foil. It is so much more affordable, and I mean, if you see them side by side, it's not that big of a difference. But Rocket Zapdos is a great card for electric decks. It's got a strategy where you can have the 3 electric and then 1 metal for electro burn, and then you can cause yourself to take less recoil damage but still be able to output 60 per turn, which is very strong. So next is Scizor. People like to pair Rocket Zapdos with the Scizor from Aquapolis, so I figured I would include the Aquapolis Scizor. If we're looking at this one, let's say we want a lightly played one. See, lightly played is kind of up there, 30 to 33, 40. If we're okay with moderately played, because we're playing with these cards and we're keeping them out of slabs, we're looking at 15. Oh, that's like 20 with shipping. It's still, that's $10 less, and you get the same attacks and the same effect. Great Pokemon. Here's Chansey from base set. Chansey from base set 2. Not significant price difference, but you're looking at, let's see. Let's just do mod play. Yeah, mod play, $4. Chansey from, what is it? Base set, mod play. Okay, a little bit more expensive from base set than base set 2. So depends on what flavor you're looking for, but Chansey is a real deck. You have to kind of plan to play against it. If there's someone in your play group that figured out how good Chansey is, they're going to play it a lot. But also, it's not that expensive to get into. Next is Clefable. Clefable's kind of a sleeper attacker, but it's pretty lightweight. It's a good counter to Rocket Zapdos because of Metronome. So you get to choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks. Metronome copies that attack except for its energy costs and anything else required to use that attack, such as discarding energy cards. So Metronome using Electro Burn versus Rocket Zapdos deals exactly 70 damage, so you can kind of get them with Clefable. But also there's tons of other applications too, I mean, with Clefable, and it's lightweight. Like the retreat cost isn't super high, has a psychic resistance, which is nice, and it's not that expensive either. If we look at mod play, dollars. If we look at lightly played, I mean, if you're looking at, if you're bugging on condition for a non-hollow from children's binders, like, just don't worry about it. So $3. Here's even less for lightly played. So next is Ditto, another popular alternate attacker. Likes double colorless energy, likes boost energy in some cases. If we're going for non-hollow, let's see here. Yeah, lightly played and moderately played is like $3. So it's just, it's great because like it's anti-Scizor. You can see you may treat enemy energy attached to Ditto as energy of any type. So if you're using this against Scizor, it's energy of any type. That doesn't mean that just because it's going to use metal energy, it does not get the additional effect of metal energy. It's just providing the metal for the cost. So for something like If you're copying heavy metal, flip a number of coins equal to the number of metal energy attached to Scizor. This attack deals 30 damage plus 20 more damage for each heads. You can copy that attack with Ditto and treat all the colorless as though it were metal and flip coins for those colorless energies. That's why that's good. It's also just great as being an additional Cleffa. If your opponent has a Cleffa active, you can copy their Eek for 1 energy. Just good. You know, not expensive. Good Pokemon. Venusaur is very good. Not a lot of people are playing grass. It's strange. Grass is exceptional. This is another illustration of just like the Blastoise, where like Trading Card Game Classic is $23.37 market price, base set $92.33 market price, base set 2 $65.42 market price, Celebrations $3.17 market price. So these Venusaurs are super affordable. Even if we go into near mint territory, we're like, you know, $4. Just really good grass Pokemon, especially as a high HP. It has the Pokemon power. As often as you like during your turn, before you attack, you may take 1 grass energy attached to one of your Pokemon and attach it to a different one. You just get to move grass energy all over the place. If your attacker is about to faint, take all of the grass energy off of that attacker and move it to a benched attacker, so then, you know, the next turn they knock out the attacker, you follow it up with a fully energized replacement attacker. And Venusaur itself, you know, 4 energy, Solar Beam for 60 damage is really good number. Yeah. Also great to pair up with Venusaur is this Aquapolis Exeggutor. Mostly for this Called Shot. Choose one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, does 10 damage times the amount of grass energy attached to Exeggutor. So, you know, you can, for 3 grass energy, you can start taking out their benched Cleffas. For, say we go crazy and put 7 grass energy on it, you can start to snipe their benched Rocket Zapdos. You don't apply weakness and resistance for benched Pokemon, so if anything has a grass resistance, you can just snipe them. And Super Explosion is decent as well. Discard a number of energy cards attached to any of your Pokemon. Flip a number of coins equal to the number of energy cards discarded this way. It does 40 damage times the number of heads. That's only to their active. But the card is very inexpensive and a very good attacker. Mod play is a couple bucks each. You know, probably 2 to 3 if you were going to run it as an attacker. This Eevee is very good for running Eevee engines. The promo, just because of its Pokemon power, can only be used when a Pokemon evolves, but that includes your turn and your opponent's turn, and you can the turn that you bench this, if you evolve another one of your benched Pokemon, this will trigger and resolve. So counts as evolving Eevee. Shuffle your deck afterward. It's 30 HP, which is really low, but it has no retreat cost, so you can retreat it really easily if your opponent happens to gust it up and not knock it out. If you're gonna go for this, say we're looking at mod play, yeah, 7s, 8s. That's about right. When I started playing, I think these were around 25s or 20s, but they've come down quite a bit, so it's a good time to pick them up. Steelix, this is another one that players like to use for metal decks. Most players like to use this Aquapolis Steelix, and you know, the Neo Genesis one I think has a place, has a little bit more HP. I mean, build whatever you want ultimately, but this is the popular one right now because Earth Rift is very good for double colorless. Does 10 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon in addition to doing the flat 10. So that's really good, especially if they have a full bench. Then it's outputting 60 damage, you know, not concentrated, but 60 damage output. Then players are pairing it up with Strength Charm, which is one of the ones. I'll look it up right after we view this, but just so you can see the combo that goes off with it. But then you flip a coin. If tails, this attack can't be used during your next turn. So it's really good because even if every other turn you're outputting uh, 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, you have 100 HP, you have Metal Energy. That's a lot of, defense, and it's really easy to keep this out with a couple of healing items, stuff like that. So, but players like to pair this up with Strength Charm. And the reason is because we go with this translation of Strength Charm, where it says whenever an attack from the Pokemon Strength Charm is attached, it does damage. The attack does 10 more damage. This wording specifically, because this does increase the amount done to bench damage. It was later errated to say damage to the active Pokemon does 10 more damage. But in Wotc 20, it's something that we're watching. But in Wotc 20, it just says whenever that Pokemon does damage, not damage to the active. So just something to keep in mind. Strength Charm Steelix is very good. Mr. Mime is a noteworthy card. Players have to play around this type of strategy because of the Pokemon power. Whenever an attack, including your own, does 30 or more damage to Mr. Mime, prevent that damage. So your opponent has to, you and your opponent should consider this card when building your deck. Make sure you have something that can deal 20 damage so that you're able to actually deal damage to Mr. Mime. Otherwise, you're going to be relying on your limited supply of Gust of Wind or raw bench damage to actually get 6 prizes, because Mr. Mime is absolutely a wall that you have to get around. Next is Scyther. I have like the old haymakers here so people can get a glimpse. Like most people are using this Scyther to evolve up to Scizor. The reason being it has 70 HP, it has no retreat cost, it has a fighting resistance. Just very good. Triple colorless for 30 damage isn't bad. On rare occasions, people use Swords Dance into Slash. It's really rare, but I mean 30 damage output is fine for double colorless and then 1 energy of any other type. Not too expensive either for this one. There was one in the Classic Collection which looks really good. The Jungle one also looks really good, but these you can get near mint for $5. So, not bad. Electabuzz, still a really good haymaker. Solid attacks, 1 energy, Thunder Shock, you have a shot at paralyzing the Pokemon, and Thunder Punch, for 2 energy, you have a shot at 40 damage output, or it's 30 damage with 10 recoil. That's fine. Like, just a good Pokemon. High HP, great scoop up target. Go on into Hitmonchan, base set 2. Both of them are pretty reasonably priced. Jab and Special Punch, just a decent fighting Pokemon. Great scoop up target as well. And then another one, so like people have been asking about fossil decks, and does Mysterious Fossil count towards your 20 energy limit in Wotc 20? And yes, it does. Unfortunately, but most fossil strategies would much rather play Buried Fossil anyway because of how good it is. Yes, it's a Skyridge card. It is an incredible addition to fossil decks, though, because you get a 30 HP Pokemon instead of Mysterious Fossil, which only gives you a 10 HP pseudo Pokemon, and then you get this great Pokemon Power Reconstruction. Once during your turn before you attack, if you have a basic energy card in your hand, you can search your deck for an Ammonite or Kabuto card, then show it to your opponent, put it in your hand, then put a basic energy card from your hand into your deck, and shuffle your deck afterwards. So this only searches for Ammonite and Kabuto, but it can evolve into Ammonite, Kabuto, or Aerodactyl. So the reason why it doesn't search for Aerodactyl is because Aerodactyl is the fossil one is insane, preventing all evolution from taking place after that. So it's probably for the best that this does not find that Aerodactyl. Downside of this card, it does have a retreat cost, so you gotta keep that in mind if you're gonna go this route. If you want to go the fossil route at all. The prices aren't terrible. I mean, they're a lot worse than Mysterious Fossil, But if you want to commit to Fossil, most players are going to want to run 4 copies of this. So Fossil strategies are a little bit expensive to start out with, but if you're really into it, you'll be satisfied. You know, the Kabutops from Neo Discovery. See if I could find it quick. Yeah, Neo Discovery Kabutops is not too expensive, and Hydro Cutter is a very solid attack. Also Slash, paying respects to Mr. Mime. There's also a, I mean, if we're here, we want to see Aerodactyl, the Fossil. Wow, that's weird. Fossil Aerodactyl. There it is. All right. Inexpensive. Just no more evolution cards can be played. Stops working if it's asleep, confused, or paralyzed. So that's a good one to go into. Let's see, Omastar. The one that I like the most is this one from Skyridge. So it's, you know, again, a little bit more than most people want to spend on a Pokemon card. But Spook is 50 damage. The defending Pokemon can't retreat during the next turn. And then also you get this cool Pokebody. As long as Omastar is your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play basic Pokemon or evolution cards from their hand to evolve their active Pokemon. So it's not as good as the Aerodactyl preventing all evolution, but they at least won't be able to evolve their active to get out of knockout range. And then there's another Kabutops that you could look into. It's this one from Skyridge. Also not too expensive, but still sometimes more than people want to spend. But this one prevents your opponent from using basic Pokemon or evolution cards to evolve benched Pokemon. So this one's a little bit of a wider effect than the Almastar one, and you're committing to a different energy type. Can deal 50, 100, or 0 damage with this one. 90 HP is kind of low for a stage 2, but for Fossil players, it's like of no consequence. There's a really good amount of benefits to playing Fossil, and I think I'm gonna just leave that exploration up to the players. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in. I know it was a long one. If you made it this far into the video, type "What's up, gamers" into the comments, and we'll see you next time.